988 is like a little breath of fresh air. It's like actually seeing the little good in the world or society.
Mm.
To see and to have 988 there and at the fingertips of so many.
Just knowing that's like just having someone to listen. It's like I matter.
This is going to be the hardest question.
Okay.
Who are you?
First, I use he, their pronouns. I'm Hans Wittmeyer, the 16th. My family is originally from Germany and Mexico, and I'm a junior in high school.
Thank you.
My name is Zeba Ahmad. I go by all pronouns, and my mom is from California. My dad's from Afghanistan, and yeah, I'm also a junior, so we go to school together.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name's Doug Baldwin. I use he, him pronouns, and I am honored to be here with you all today. I think this is a really important topic that needs to be discussed even more. And so, having this opportunity to talk about mental health and how we are all impacted by it, I think is a very important conversation. So, again, just wanted to say thank you. What does mental health mean to you all? No, it's a heavy.
That's loaded.
Yeah.
It's the other half of you.
Mm.
There's two things. I mean, there's three for some people because your body, your mind, and your soul. But
Mm.
I really think that it's just mainly it's the second thing. You have your physical health, which is heart, liver, lungs. But your mental health is something that's in one of those organs. It's your brain. It's the thing that makes you tick as a human. It's the hidden part of health.
Yeah.
Learning more about my personal mental health has made me just like understand myself more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like some people they think that it's not a big deal, but it really is.
No, I agree with you. I think it's incredibly important, but we also, at least in my opinion, in our society, we overlook it a lot. To your point, we don't think it's as important.
Yeah.
From my background, being in sports, like
Mhm.
mental health was more about performance related, right? Like getting your mental posture in a way that you can perform better on the football field or in whatever realm.
Mhm.
Um, but then you step out of that, right? And I've been retired for 5 years, and you would think that at this point my mental health would be a little bit better, right? Coming out of that and
Yeah.
transitioning from retirement, but I'm still dealing with the consequences of playing sports from 6 years old all the way to 30 years old,
Mhm.
right? And still acclimating to life outside of that. And so my mental health journey has been different in the sense of like, I've just now come to grips of understanding what mental health actually means. And so I'm curious for you all, like, when was the first time you recognized that mental health was a thing for you?
So my dad was deported when I was in like fourth grade, right after Christmas. It was the day after Christmas.
Your dad got deported the day after
After
Christmas.
Christmas.
He was detained the day after Christmas. He was kept in Tacoma for 2 years and then was deported. All I remember is that like I was 9 when he like officially left. Because of that, I was having a hard time in school. Like I was getting bullied and I had friends who were not the best. Reaching out to the teachers that I had, they didn't really do anything. It was so weird because I look back on it now and I'm like, oh, so they just basically just neglected me. It was just racking up of a lot of stuff, and I didn't tell my mom because nobody at school believed me. Like the teachers didn't believe me, my friends didn't believe me, none of that. And so I was like, well, of course my mom's not gonna believe me.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I want to preface this by saying that my mom and dad were well-intended people, but they grew up in really hard environments, and they went through their own trauma. And at that time, especially in the Black community, in the Filipino community, counseling therapy was not a thing. And so it was looked at as a weakness. And so my parents never engaged in that work. And so they passed on that trauma and those experiences to their kids. I'm starting to realize, like, just literally last night and this morning, that sometimes those come out in ways that you don't intend for them to.
Yeah.
You can see somebody and think that they're going through life carefree, but they may be dealing with something very deep and internalizing it and then just projecting that carefree attitude, right? And I think that's why we're here, is because I think more people than not are going through that, right? A lot of people looked at me, this NFL player, oh, you have all these things going for you. You got your together.
Mm.
But the truth of the matter is that I had my own demons and my own things that I was fighting that at the time I didn't have language for, I didn't have the tools for, right? But now, having gone through counseling and doing that work, I recognize that there's a lot more people that are dealing with these things.
But my dad raised me and my sister Muslim. So I had that identity for a really long time. And with that, there were some like moments of like prejudice that happened even with like classmates that I had met and stuff like that. There was one Ramadan where I was unable to fast. And so I decided to read a chapter of the Quran every day as like an alternative. And so I did. And I was like, this stuff is not what I thought it was.
We're all human beings on this planet, on this rock spinning around the sun, trying to survive and thrive, right? And I think religion, in a lot of ways, plays a crucial element in our health and well-being and our mental health, especially when it's tied to our identity so closely. I think it's a very pertinent conversation, especially in today's time, about how religion can play a negative role on our mental health if it is not rooted in love.
Growing up religious, you were told certain things, or here growing up Catholic. In the Bible, it talks about gay people. When I was that age, I didn't know what that actually was. I didn't have a name for it. It didn't say homosexual, it doesn't say gay. But what I did know was I looked at Diego instead of Dora when Dora was on. And that's the biggest memory that I have, is
Oh yeah, that's
waking up on, it was a Saturday morning at my grandmother's house in California, and crawling to the living room to watch Dora, and I would just stare at him the whole time. But I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And that something kind of resonates with you, and you're like, okay, I look at Diego. They say, when you look at Diego, that's wrong, and that's bad, and you aren't supposed to do that. Oh no, I'm gonna go to hell. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I don't want to play this game anymore.
Did it make you feel like less value? Like you felt like,
As a 4-year-old, all you can think of is, I'm the problem.
yeah. Yeah.
And with everything running around, I'm the problem. And if I can just go, then everything can be fixed.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about what's being said in the church. You don't have to worry about the bullying at daycare. You don't have to worry about so much.
So
So it's easier to just let go.
yeah. Yeah.
And that leads to a suicide attempt.
Yeah.
At the age of 4.
Yeah. I'm sorry that you went through that. As a father of a 4-year-old, it's just really hard for me to put that into. Appreciate you. So I'm sorry you went through that. You also have gone through an experience where you felt less value about yourself, and that
Which
in,
one?
in your words, you said,
How dare
I'm sorry.
My dad, he was quite abusive. There were times where it escalated to physical, but it was mostly just verbal, mental, psychological, emotional, like all of that. Just he never like took responsibility for anything. It was always like, oh, I'm just being a father. I'm just disciplining you. And that stuff, like, I have a lot of self-hatred and I can't like myself. And I know that a lot of people are like, I've heard this a lot where it's like, oh, you can't love other people until you love yourself. And I'm like, but what do I do if I can't? Like, I hate myself is a fact to me because my father was like that, you know? But like it is still like really hard, even just talking to him. He doesn't know anything about me. Like, and he will never know.
Identity wise.
Yeah, identity wise, like he doesn't know. She doesn't even know that I look like this, and that's just kind of how it has to be. But it sucks, you know. It's like you, at the very least, if he knew that I was queer, he would disown me. At the very least.
So why do you still talk to him?
Um, as much as it hurts to talk to him, the idea of him passing away, thinking that his closest family didn't love him anymore, like that to me hurts more than just talking to him.
Yeah.
I know that he will never understand that what he did was wrong. So I pity him in a way. And I hate saying that. I hate saying that. But like it is true. That's why I keep talking to
I
him.
mean, yeah. These are primal wounds.
Mhm.
My therapist, she harps on it for me because in a lot of similar ways, I recognize that there are things that I desire from my parents that I'm probably not going to get.
Mhm.
Um, and I say that lovingly.
Oh, yeah.
I genuinely love my mom and love my dad. They are good people. And even though despite their flaws and despite some of the things that they did while I was growing up, like I do know that they are good people in their
Mhm.
core, you know?
Mhm.
So I preface all of this with that.
I want to say the same thing for mine. I know they didn't mean to do that.
My dad will probably never see this, so I'm good. I'm not. I hold grudges, so that's just how I am.
You know, I do too.
I don't. I hold the grudge.
I
do
love my
too.
mother though. Shout out to my mom. She's great.
Shout out to Zaba's mom.
Thank you, Miss Mariah. You're great. I promise. She's a very nice.
Yeah,
I believe you. I believe
She brought us to Pride.
she did. Yeah. Yeah.
love. As now a father, right? I'm in real time. I'm recognizing that um, the experiences that I had growing up, I'm looking back now at them as a father and I'm realizing like my mom and dad are just, they're showing up in those spaces because that's their experience as a child, And so I'm in the process of like trying to give them grace and understand their plight more
Mhm.
because they were once young children that went through traumatic experiences that then framed how they view the world.
Trying to break generational trauma.
Right. And I'm sure you have heard people when you talk about the mental health challenges or challenges in general, and they're just like, you got to toughen up. You just got to get through it. You got to
Mhm.
push through it. And as a professional athlete, as you can imagine, I've also heard that countless times.
Oh yeah.
I know I can feel your energy. So
Oh,
if
it
you
makes me mad.
it makes me mad too. But go ahead, say more about that.
It pisses me off. So downright to the core.
Why?
You don't know what I've gone through to get here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've pushed through so much.
Yeah.
Mhm. Because like I have depression, anxiety, and ADHD. I'm trying to get evaluated for autism. I have trauma and like acute PTSD. Like all of those things are things that like they are bigger than me, than a 16-year-old kid. So to say, oh well, like just get through it, like just do it. Like with self-harm, it's like, oh well, just stop. It's like I can't stop. Like that's the thing, is like these things are bigger than me, and the fact that I'm telling you that I can't do this on my own.
Yeah.
So I'm reaching out to you, and for you to just say, oh well, just do it yourself, like just you can handle it and just toughen up and just get through it, is not helping. It's very like, it's invalidating, but it also just makes me feel like I should just be doing this by myself, and I know that I can't.
Even if I don't directly say I need help,
Oh yeah.
anytime that I talk to you or anytime that I share something with you, it could be a reach for help.
Oh yeah.
I can't even know when I'm reaching for help.
Oh yeah, that's so real.
I mean, like I'm going through this in real
Mhm.
time myself right now,
Mhm.
where I'm recognizing that there are things that I need help with. But to your point, and especially as a professional athlete and the experiences that I had as a child, I isolate myself.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no, I got this. You know, there's an ego and a pride that comes
Mhm.
out in it
Mhm.
that is just really a facade
Mhm.
trying to mask what I'm going through.
Mhm.
And it never works.
Mm-mm. No, it never
It
works.
never works. And so I'm learning that there are moments where I don't even know that I need help. And
Mhm.
then even in the times that I do need help, or I kind of have an inkling that, hey, like something's off here,
Mhm.
I don't even know how to
Mhm.
ask for help. I don't even know where to go for help.
Mhm.
And so I'm curious for you all, like, what was your experience when you first recognized that there was moments where you knew you needed help, or maybe you didn't know you needed help,
Mhm.
and you, like, how did you navigate that? And then, like, how are you all here today?
When I tried to end my life, um, I was very young, and I didn't even know what that meant. At the time, I got older, and I was like, "Oh, that was actually like you did try to kill yourself," but at the time, it was just like I didn't know how big of a thing that was.
Yeah.
I was really scared because I didn't know what was going on with me, and I was like, something's not right. I don't feel like myself. I'm sad. Everything is too much, and I'm not feeling good emotions anymore. So my first step was to just tell my parent
Mhm.
because, and I was scared to death because here are all these adults who are supposed to be listening, who are supposed to believe me, and they don't. I'm like, my mom's not gonna. What if she doesn't believe me? What do I do?
Mhm.
And it was just that conversation that we had that it surprised, honestly, it surprised me. So my first lifeline now, whenever I need help, is my mother.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there is no actually
Mhm.
doing it all by yourself,
Yeah.
even if you think you can,
Mhm.
because I sure thought I can.
Yeah.
And even in counseling and therapy, what I'm working on currently with it is learning that you are mortal, you are human, your boundaries are not endless. You do have boundaries, and you have to recognize them. And like Zeba said, with their mother, my sister was the biggest lifeline for me.
Mm.
I'm also glad that I have you.
This is a counseling session for me.
Mhm.
I'm,
Honestly, it is, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm realizing, I'm realizing some things, and
I honestly couldn't imagine being a dad that has children of the age that I'm talking about and what was going through my head, and then having another child that's at the age what Zeba was talking about.
yeah. And as a parent, there's a lot that I don't understand.
Mm.
There's a lot that I don't know still, and I wasn't around a lot of folks who identify as queer or trans,
Mhm.
and so even when I was kind of talking about um, my beliefs that vary from more conservative backgrounds, um, I could hear comments that just like they just did not sit well with me.
Mhm.
But also know that, or I assume they come from a place of fear because of the unknown. There's folks who say who don't understand. They say, why did you choose to be trans? Why do you choose to be queer? Can you speak to that? Like, when did you first realize that you were queer or trans? Or when, I mean, I know Diego was your trigger, but
haunt me forever.
Diego was the catalyst.
listen, every time I see you now, I'm going to think of Diego.
Oh no. Diego from Dora.
But yeah, tell me a little bit about that experience, because I think it would be helpful for people to understand that, like, this is um, your lived experience.
Mhm.
There was a guy that I always liked.
Sorry.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. So there was this one guy
Mhm.
that I liked for a very long time,
Mhm.
and I didn't really know I liked him because same thing with Diego, just kept going towards him,
Yeah.
and I for some reason I just wanted to be his friend really bad is all I could think
Mm.
about.
No, I'm
But
saying that because I've done that.
yeah, I scribbled down on a index card with the worst spelling of the word, "What's your sexuality?"
Mm.
I wrote down my locker number of where to put the answer, and I dropped it in his locker right before class. And halfway through classes, when we took lunch, so and I knew he packed home lunch, so he would go into his locker.
Way to get to your locker.
He opened it up, and the note fell out.
Mm.
He and the rest of his friends were gathered around it.
Mm.
He
Mm.
brought the note back into the classroom where I was waiting. I saw him and his friends laughing and snickering a little bit. I saw him write something down, and he dropped it off in my locker. I went to my locker, opened it up, and saw what was written on the note in just 2 letters with a big space apart, but all caps. Well, both caps. Just an F-U.
Mm.
My hands just started shaking, and I just started shaking because that's kind of when I realized. And I called my then best friend. He said, "It's okay. I was hiding something from you too. I'm trans. I think I'm trans." And I didn't know what that was. What does that mean?
You didn't know what that was.
I didn't know what
Yeah.
being trans was.
Yeah.
So as I was crying as a little distraction, he explained what being trans was. And it made so much sense. It was as if I finally knew who my best friend was. And it was with that connection that I was able to finally say the words, "Best friend, I think I'm gay."
When you said that for the first time out loud, how did that feel?
Oh, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was as if I was just born anew and I was walking naked through the world.
I had no idea what being gay was. Like, at the time, I was like, okay, so sat down on the couch. I said, "Mom, I gotta tell you something." And she said, "All right, but what is it?" And I was like, "I think, no, I know that I'm bisexual." She goes, "Okay, well, guess what? So am I." And I went, and it was like,
Mm. Mm.
my world, like my entire perception of her exploded, but at the same time, it all made sense. Like,
First group parent that I knew.
it was so crazy because I was scared to tell you and I didn't know how you would take it. She was like, I was like, "I knew you would be supportive, but I was still scared." And she was like, "It's okay." But it just like it was such a surprise to me for her to just be like, "Chill, dude, same." Like, and to just like, and I've had I've met so many people where I'm just like, I'll just mention it and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, me too." And like,
So many.
for me personally, I think that that's how just sexuality and gender identity should be, is that it should just be like a quick thing. It should not be something that, like, unless you want to talk about it, let it go. It was a turning point because I was like, I can be different. It was difficult though to be like, "Oh, but I'm choosing to label this difference about me." Um,
You're not choosing to be different. You're choosing
no.
to label it.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was, I wasn't choosing to be different, but I was choosing to put a label to that difference.
I think that's the important part, though.
Mhm.
It definitely is. It
'Cause
definitely is.
if I'm hearing you correctly, you were at the point where you were identifying and choosing to be your true authentic self.
Yes.
But in that, you felt the need to explain that to
Yeah.
other people, so you had to put a label to it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because if you just say, "Oh, I date anyone," they're like, "No, but like
But
What
like,
it
what
takes to
actually?
be-
but
Yeah.
like what actually are you?" And it's like,
Yeah.
"Okay." After that, I used to have really long hair. I used to look
Very
a
different.
bit different.
Like down here.
Yeah, it was long. I did the big chop, got my hair, down to here. Yeah. Yeah. And I just remember like my mom, she took me out to coffee after and she was like, you're just radiating.
Hmm.
And I was like, is that a good thing? And she was like, yeah, you just look like yourself. And I personally did not have a lot of like gender dysphoria like physically. It was more like socially of like how people perceived me. But going into high school and seeing all the other guys my age who had flat chests and like they would just wear t-shirts and like it would just go down and I was like, oh, it hurt for a while to want that so badly and know that I can never have that. I had looked into getting a chest binder for a while and I remember I was like, Mom, like I need to get one. I can't like I'm all of these guys at school, like I just see them and like they have nothing and I we have to do this. And she was like, okay, well we'll try to get one as soon as possible. You know, we went to Target, we went to stores, you know, and we're just like, hey, do you guys have chest binders? And they were like, nah. And so my mom was like, okay, we'll order it. But I got it and I tried it on. And I have a video on my phone of me wearing it for the first time. But it was so unbelievable. Like I can't even describe the feeling of just being like, of just being able to go, there's nothing there. It was in that like journey that it took me a while to come around to also using the trans masculine label. It was just hard. It was hard. Of just being like, well, you know, technically I am trans because, you know, I'm gender fluid, but I dress masculine. You know, I present masculine. I want people to like the first thing that they see is just that masculinity. And so it took me a while and I started like using it here and there. And then I just started like just adding it to whatever, like if someone's like, okay, tell me about yourself. And I'm like, all right, boom, boom, boom. Like it's hard. It's always, it's an ever changing journey, I think. But I feel I've never felt more comfortable. And to be able to look at like baby pictures of me and see a little boy because I look like a little boy is like, it's one of the best feelings ever.
Yeah.
To just be able to like look in the mirror and look at my old pictures and just,
See yourself.
yeah.
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 I know when we were younger, both of us were struggling heavily with our mental health in secret, and
Mhm.
nobody really saw. How did yours change when you started understanding and going through
That's a good question.
identifying that you were queer and like gender fluid?
I appreciate the question because I heard you say that you never felt better.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's because you felt like you could genuinely, authentically be yourself.
It definitely helped. Part of it, like I'm very, very, very grateful for the immediate family and friends that I had. I know that there are so many people out there who don't have that support.
hmm
And um to be able to feel comfortable telling people is a huge thing. And I wish that everyone got that luxury, and it really sucks.
It shouldn't be a luxury,
It shouldn't be a luxury, you're right.
and it sucks. I'm really glad that you were courageous enough and brave enough to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I will take credit for part of the haircut because I was telling you that for years.
That is true. That is true. I mean, I've had people look at me and go, like, I've had teachers, you know, they've been doing this for years, and they're like, you know yourself so well. And I'm like, thanks. I know myself, but I don't know how to help myself. And I think that's a huge difference.
hmm
Um, I can be very mature for my age, and so when people, you know, when you're like, oh, this is what's wrong with me. I keep thinking this or I keep feeling like this. Then they think, oh, well, then you know how to fix it. Like you know what to do. If you know what's wrong, then you know how to find the solution. And that's where I stop because I'm like, hey, I'm still just a kid. I don't know the solution.
Yeah.
And so when I come to someone and say, hey, this is what is wrong with me, and they go, well, then you know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I go, but I don't.
Yeah. You know, we're here because there's this great resource called 988 that folks can call in when they feel those feelings of hopelessness and helplessness. Um, you know, it's a great resource in a multitude of ways, but I'm curious to hear from you all, like Why is it important for you to be here to express the importance of something like 988 in your own experience or in experiences you've had with other people who may have used it? But why is it important that we have a resource for individuals who may be needing something to grab onto to get away from that hopelessness or that helplessness?
988 is actually really, really important to me. I've almost called twice. One of them specifically was for the possible beginnings of a suicide attempt. But more specifically, I just want to talk about how 988 is just the fact that it's there and the fact that I think almost every kid at our school knows about it
Mm-hmm.
and how it's known as a suicide hotline.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time that I almost called 988 was when I was in a very bad place. And this was after I got through the worst of my self harm. And I was finally at the spot where I could accept that I couldn't do it alone. I dialed it up and I couldn't get myself to click call. And just having the numbers on the line,
Yeah.
on the phone, gave me a sense of comfort.
Mhm.
And there was another way out that wasn't suicide.
And I know this wasn't always the case, but you had Zeba, and they were there to help you in those moments where, you talked about that a little bit.
Mm.
But there's a lot of people who don't have that support, and you said that too. Like there was moments where you felt like you didn't have support around you.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you had support around you, because this was even in high school when I had people. And sometimes you can't bring yourself to ask for help from somebody that you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need someone anonymously
Mm-hmm.
just to remind you that there's a future
Mm.
of people that will know you.
Mm.
And I feel like 988 is really the voice for that future
Yeah.
for that person.
Just the fact that there is a resource that is specific, basically saying, I'm here for you. Whatever that is that you need, I'm here for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just having that resource has been vital for you. Even, you said it, like it wasn't necessarily the fact that you called it was just the fact that it was there.
I've had my mother call the crisis hotline, and it was a really nice woman, and she was able to just get me to calm down a little bit and to just be like, okay, like these are just thoughts, and she was able to distract me enough to calm me down. And I think that just knowing that like it's really hard because when you're struggling, you want to reach out to your friends. Like some people they want to reach out, but then they're like, oh, but they can't handle this. Like, oh, they're like, especially because we're teenagers, it's hard for your friends to be there for you when you're not doing well or you have suicidal thoughts or something like that because it's just so big. It's like I'm a kid. I can't help you the way that you need help and I want to.
Yeah.
It feels great to me to know that like you're not going to be a burden to these people because they are literally sitting there for you to call.
Mhm.
They are waiting for you and that is what they are there for.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so important and it's so amazing that we have that and that we know about it.
Yeah.
It's honestly empowering and it can get you to do the next steps or just keep yourself not in check, but there in the moment.
Absolutely. And I think like I know that some people, they don't have a good relationship with the people that they live with. So it's like, oh well, if I tell my parents that like I'm struggling mentally, they're just gonna be like, oh, that's not a thing.
Mhm.
So to have someone that like won't tell your parents, won't be like, okay, well, I'll tell your school and your friends and they'll all have to help you. It's like there are no strings attached.
Mhm.
They are just there to help.
Yeah.
Just knowing that's like just having someone to listen.
Yeah.
Whether they understand what you're saying or not. Whether like you could be speaking nonsense, but they are just there to listen is like it's like I matter.
It's the most impactful thing.
It is. I think that yeah. I mean, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have at least someone or something to listen to how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I think 988 is kind of just like the embodiment of hope,
Mm.
and not just on a personal level just to one person or just to a community, but honestly, from a person that's come from such trauma and seen so much bad in the world, 988 is like a little breath of fresh air. It's like actually seeing the little good in the world or society.
Mm.
To see and to have 988 there and at the fingertips of so many, and just even if you get to a gas station and and you could use their phone, it could be there.
Mhm.
And I think that just gives hope to everything.
Yeah. I did not come here today thinking that I was going to be moved and like that this was going to be a counseling session for me, but it has turned out to be. And I'm very incredibly grateful for your courage and for your strength and for your willingness. And the truth of the matter is that, even if nobody sees this, you've impacted me. The fact that you have the awareness and the strength to just like to to
To be.
to be, I know as a parent, that's all that matters to me for my children is that they feel safe and secure and loved enough
Mm.
to be their full selves.
Mm.
So thank you for modeling that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.